Greetings, Noveans, and welcome to episode 11 of Ask Aphelia, a Nova Court Q&A where we answer your dual universe gameplay questions. Let's begin. Question 1. I've heard of megafactories from players like Gotchar. Can you give us an idea of what a megafactory is made of, element-wise?
So, a termed megafactory, as it's often called by the players, is essentially a construct with high amounts of industry units that require large amounts of material and manufacture large amounts of goods. Some of these factories have reached very high numbers of industry units and elements, with one of the top ones having in the region of 14,000 elements and in the area of about 25,000 links going between.
Question 2. Will the FTUE starter outposts ever be purchasable, perhaps in the UEF shop?
Yes, we are planning to add the blueprints as an item you can purchase in-game.
Question 3. In regards to the warp drive API, it's great to put back the initialization, but could we have the control of the destination too?
Where we have indeed put back the possibility to activate the warp with the Lua. As explained on the previous Ask Aphelia, this is a decision based on your feedbacks and the change of behaviors we brought on the warp. And we still monitor its use to be sure it's not exploited. However, while I totally see the value of controlling the warp destination, it's currently very tricky to do so as it could allow for significant trajectory automation. If we integrate it, it will be in condition of Lua actions done by the player, which is not yet visible. So at the moment, no, sorry.
Question 4. I found an abandoned base. I gained ownership of all constructs, static and dynamic, by replacing the destroyed cores with new ones of my own. However, the TCU is still owned by the original player. Will this expire? I'd like to claim this tile and keep everything there as is. How can I do this?
It's very likely that the player who owns this territory has set it as an HQ, as a headquarters. This means that the territory will remain in his ownership forever, essentially. It's likely that we'll change this behavior of headquarters to be released from being a headquarter at the same time as constructs enter into inactive asset requisition if an account is inactive, but that probably won't happen until a later date when we have time to address this. So currently, unfortunately, you cannot claim that territory.
Question 5. Are you planning to give us access to Lua for weapons and radars?
Where we have already thought about adding an API to control waypoints or radar, mostly for gameplay customizations and other reasons. And the suggestion is on the right track. If we do it, it will be limited to Lua actions. However, implementing this kind of restriction requires us to make deep changes to the interface between Lua and C++, what we call the binding, which is heavy to implement. So we are thinking about it, but it won't be for today.
Question 6. Will the DSAT ever get an API?
DSAT or DSAT, as it is today, is on the table for potential changes, as it does not fit today with what we want. We will then see if we can integrate a Lua API into it. However, giving information such as step position is not an option, as this will allow full automation of the research.
Question 7. Is there any way to combine counters together if we need a counter greater than 10?
I'm not actually 100% sure. I haven't done this myself, but in essence, multiple counters sending signals to each other are multiplicative. So for example, if you have a 2-state counter passing a signal onto a 10-state counter, that would trigger the on signal every 2 pulses in the 2-state counter, which means that the 10 counter wouldn't really reach its 10th count until 20 signals have been sent to the 2-pulse counter. If you want to do more precise increments, it's probably better to use a control unit to set the counter using getIndex and setIndex.
Question 8. Do you have plans to enable colored prints in Lua chat again to create a better visual appeal?
Yes, in the past we've allowed the use of HTML tags in chat messages, but after a few exploits and security issues we've decided to remove them. However, after discussing with our creative director, I think we could allow to set the writing color via Lua without re-enabling the HTML tags.
Question 9. When you calibrate an autominer, do the ore piles it generates stay until I mine them, or do they despawn?
Essentially, they remain until you mine them. However, there is a maximum that can be present on the territory at any given time. So at a certain point, they will be replaced by new ones if left for too long.
Question 10. What is the place of Lua in Dual Universe, and what is it used for?
That's a good question, and I will be honest, we took the time to discuss it with Curious, our creative director. We share a common vision of Lua for the game, which have been working on together over the last year to redesign Lua in that direction, which I think has paid off. Nevertheless, we want to go further, and so to answer this question, we want Lua to be a major tool for content creation, for events, missions, roleplay, stories or whatever. And yes, there is a lot missing, and we were aware of that, but it takes time and we will try to work on it between all other important topics we have to evolve.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Ask Aphelia. Is there a Dual Universe gameplay question that you would like to know more about? Please send us your questions by using the form in the description below. We look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, Noveans, and thank you for being part of our universe.